People have probably heard or experienced when they have been trapped in a cycle of doing nothing significant yet unending. What if I told you that there are incredibly easy, close to not trying at all, strategies to guarantee that the remaining years of your life will be a failure? Sounds dramatic, right? But stick with me. Today's video recap focuses on the streams of neglect and fear and how the artist chooses to self-sabotage and regrettably seal one's fate. Suppose one day you wake up and find out that you have lost your dreams while you were enjoying being a conformist. Do you feel frustrated with the fact that people surrounding you go forward toward their goal line and you are left behind? These are the secret enemies that are preventing your self-improvement, and a better life are showcased in this video. By the end of this book, you will know how to spot these patterns in your own life. More significantly, you will know how not to fall into them. If you are willing to look at your decisions clearly and want to know how to escape the vicious circle you are part of, welcome. Well then, it is time to begin this enlightening voyage eye-opening together. In the modern world, people can get tired very quickly, and it is rather simple for an individual to quit on the dreams as well as aspirations. People start thinking, why try, and then breathe into mediocrity, justifying it with the fact self-love is accepting less than ideal. This line of thinking can feel quite cozy, but it is actually one of the most toxic patterns to engage in at work and in personal development. Let me describe a person who once wanted to launch a business but now only wastes her evenings watching TV, hoping that the phrase, "I am only taking care of myself," will cover her inactivity. They are failing in realizing a better life for themselves. Self-employed people who give up their dreams turn into purveyors of their own. Halt. They can deceive themselves that they are saint-like, self-caring, while in fact they shelter themselves from the effort that creates an effectively illuminating future. For example, rather than going for an important meeting at the workplace, Solve will prefer to browse through their Facebook page under the guise of taking care of themselves. Such a thing translates into avoiding any forms of pressure regarding making money or being successful, as the feeling of neglect seems safer than striving for something better. To get out of this vicious cycle, one has to understand that self-love is not a license to relax and do nothing. Ironically, it's about loving oneself while at the same time trying to excel. So, how is it that one can reactivate the ambitions? The best way to begin here is to establish little, though realistic goals that are associated with your dreams. For instance, you have a passion for writing a book, but you don't have time. Do it by writing one page in a day. It will make you put fire back into the relationship and open the door to other, greater achievements. In this journey, you are going to find that indeed, the failure to work on your goals is a recipe for despair and not success. Speaking of journeys, let's talk about the next step, refusal of stimuli and danger. While the world today is full of opportunities, there are people who prefer not to step out of their comfort zones, and the very word exposure they consider a disease. It's quite rational and inescapable part of human nature to avoid any forms of slight judgment or probable failure. Although, in such a manner, a person avoids potential shortcomings and failures, it can significantly hamper the functioning and personal development. Consider a person who wants to see the whole world, but never leaves the house, and is sure that only this way he will be safe. Though it feels quite safe, it translates into a boring and unfulfilled existence in self-stagnation. Thus, the lack of experience and the lack of perspective makes the worst enemy of an individual himself. They do not know the palette of the living life, where every meeting can open the window to a better life. For instance, going for a workshop or a social function may turn out to be intimidating. However, it is at such places that contacts are very productive. Far from avoiding such opportunities, it can be seen that taking those chances can be a way of making money and fulfilling dreams. And yet they are afraid of risks, and so they are endangering their opportunities for growth and personal achievement. But then, where does one begin to try and dissociate themselves from this self-induced imprisonment? Start by stating new goals that will force yourself to go out of the comfort zone even in the slightest way. For those who are deathly afraid of public speaking, there is nothing better than joining a local Toastmasters club. It opens up the opportunity for you to practice in an environment that is conducive to your practice, as well as learn skills that may be useful to your career. Many people forget that it always takes some amount of courage to first try in anything great that has been done. With a willingness to accept such exposures, the perceptions surrounding judgment reduce, and more people get to live more gratifying lives. Now, let's delve into the next topic: who are in the process of self-destructing. It is that cunning fox that usually appears when we do not anticipate it, and brings along self-destruction. These are overanalyzing decisions, consumption without production, and fear of criticism. Think about a person who starts a business idea of a side hustle, but spends hours watching television programs. They may have the thought of, "I'll start tomorrow," but tomorrow never comes, or it is postponed to the next day. This cycle of procrastination breeds pessimism, while stagnating the academic performance and the overall personal development. However, the cost of the secret keeper, the ability to suppress conflict, is an unhealthy climate within oneself. Whenever people do not express themselves honestly, or if they stifle their emotions or their fear in some way, they are actually contributing to a reinforcement of an unfulfilling state of mind, thus to a further perpetuation of a life marked by unhappiness. For example, an individual may develop stress at their workplace, and instead of presenting it in a meeting, they remain passive. This approach not only stunts their career development, but also constitutes a harm in their psychological health. The more they suppress these feelings, the more they feel the pressure, and as such, it becomes very hard to imagine that there is a way out of the situation. That is why, to overcome the signs of self-sabotage, it is necessary to work on the level of self-consciousness while accepting vulnerability. The first step is to begin writing all the things that come into your mind so that you get a picture of the negative ideas that constantly run in your head. If you are one of those people who are inherently conflict avoidant, then try talking about issues with friends or co-workers. For specific example, when working on projects and a certain direction that needs to be taken is something you cannot align with, voice your opinion gently. It benefits the overall well-being of workers and at the same time provide training for self-improvement. It is important to note that learning to escape the behavior that holds one back is a process, and every effort made to be more authentic and truthful can lead to a positive tomorrow. Well, of course, speaking of journeys, it is about time to consider how these insights can help your life. It is now time to get your hands dirty. You now know the ways you may be unconsciously undermining your chances of being happy. Are you willing to get out of a category of self-sabotage and live a life of fulfillment? Think about it. What minor act do you plan on doing today to make your life better? It can be as minor as choosing a new target or speaking outside the bubble. It can be as major as approaching an important employee just in case you have forgotten. You do hold the key to changing your life. Are you still staying home for fear of the virus, or have you already become complacent about its presence? And if perhaps this video has been informative to you in some way or form, don't keep your opinion to yourself, make your comments known in the comments section. What measures will you put in place so as to do away with self-sabotaging behaviors in your life? And do not forget to follow the channel and turn on the notifications so you can follow how one should improve their existence and become the best. Let us, therefore, proceed in this training endeavor hand in hand. Your bright future awaits. Please find below the translation I've made for the article. I hope this translation is to your liking.